Upbeat, historical-themed intro music begins and fades into the background. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're embarking on an epic journey through time to uncover the dramatic, complex, and incredible story of the United States of America. How did a collection of disparate colonies transform into the global superpower we know today? Grab your snacks, get comfortable, and let's dive into the story of a nation. Long before any European ships dotted the horizon, this vast continent was anything but empty. For thousands of years, it was home to millions of indigenous people, often referred to as Native Americans. From the complex urban centers of the Mississippian culture, with their magnificent earthen mounds, to the nomadic hunters of the Great Plains and the skilled farmers of the Southwest, this land was a vibrant tapestry of diverse civilizations. Each tribe, each nation, possessed its own rich culture, intricate social structures, spiritual beliefs, and deep connection to the land. They were the first architects, astronomers, and stewards of this continent, a history that is foundational to the American story. The winds of change began to blow in 1492 with the arrival of Christopher Columbus, an event that irrevocably connected two worlds. But the story of colonization truly takes root in the 17th century. Imagine sailing for months across a treacherous ocean, driven by a mix of hope, desperation, and ambition. Ships from England, France, Spain, and the Netherlands began arriving on the shores of North America, each seeking wealth, territory, and religious freedom. Our focus narrows to the British, who established a foothold that would eventually become the bedrock of the United States. From the Pilgrims' landing at Plymouth in 1622, the founding of Jamestown in 1607, 13 distinct colonies stretched along the Atlantic coast. Life was brutally hard. Settlers faced unfamiliar diseases, harsh winters, and constant conflict. Yet, amid this struggle, a powerful idea began to germinate. The dream of a new life, of freedom from the rigid class structures of Europe, and the opportunity to build something new. This was the raw, untamed beginning of the American experiment. For over a century and a half, these 13 colonies developed their own unique identities, yet they were still subjects of the British Crown, located an ocean away. Tensions began to simmer. The colonists, who had forged a rugged self-reliance, grew increasingly frustrated with British policies. They were being taxed without having any representatives in the British Parliament. No taxation without representation became their rallying cry. Acts like the Stamp Act and the Tea Act were seen not just as economic burdens, but as an assault on their fundamental rights. The simmering pot finally boiled over. In 1775, the first shots were fired at Lexington and Concord, igniting the American Revolution. This wasn't just a war for territory, it was a war of ideas. On a hot summer day, July 4, 1776, the Second Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence. This revolutionary document, penned primarily by Thomas Jefferson, declared that all men are created equal with certain unalienable rights. A new nation, the United States of America, was born not of ancient monarchy, but of a radical ideal of liberty. After 8 long, arduous years of war, with crucial help from France, the colonists achieved the impossible and secured their independence. Winning the war was one thing. Building a nation was another challenge entirely. The newly formed United States was a fragile entity. The initial governing document, the Articles of Confederation, proved too weak to hold the country together. So, in 1787, the nation's founders gathered once again to draft the Constitution. A brilliant framework for a federal republic that has endured for over 2 centuries. With a new government in place, the nation's gaze turned westward. The spirit of manifest destiny took hold, the belief that Americans were divinely ordained to expand across the continent. This era was defined by relentless westward expansion. In 1803, President Thomas Jefferson made the landmark Louisiana Purchase from France, doubling the size of the country overnight. Lewis and Clark embarked on their famous expedition, mapping the vast unknown territory. Pioneers in covered wagons, cowboys driving cattle, and farmers seeking their own piece of land pushed the frontier further and further west. But this expansion had a dark side. It came at a tremendous cost to the Native American populations who were forcibly displaced from their ancestral lands. Furthermore, as new territories were added, a deep and bitter debate raged. Would these new states be free states or slave states? This question would ultimately tear the young nation apart. The issue of slavery had been a festering wound since the nation's founding. It was an institution deeply entangled in the Southern economy, which was reliant on cotton plantations. The industrial North, however, was moving towards an economy based on free labor. The moral, economic, and political divides grew ever wider. The election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860, who ran on a platform of preventing the expansion of slavery, was the final straw for the South. Southern states began to secede from the Union, forming the Confederacy. In April 1861, the American Civil War erupted. It was the bloodiest conflict in American history, pitting brother against brother and testing the very survival of the United States. For 4 devastating years, the nation was at war with itself. The Battle of Gettysburg marked a major turning point, and under the resolute leadership of President Lincoln and the military command of Ulysses S. Grant, the Union Army ultimately prevailed in 1865. The war achieved 2 monumental goals. It preserved the Union and, with the passage of the 13th Amendment, it abolished the institution of slavery. The nation was reunified, but the scars of the war and the long, difficult road to racial equality would shape its future for generations to come. In the aftermath of the Civil War, America entered a period of explosive growth known as the Gilded Age and the Industrial Revolution. The country was transforming at a breathtaking pace. Railroads crisscrossed the continent, connecting east and west and creating a truly national market. Steel, oil, and electricity powered new industries. Inventors like Thomas Edison and Alexander Graham Bell introduced innovations that changed daily life forever. Cities swelled as people left rural farms for factory jobs. Towering skyscrapers began to reshape the skylines of New York and Chicago, symbols of American ambition and ingenuity, and millions of immigrants from Europe and Asia poured into the country. Drawn by the promise of the American dream, they passed through Ellis Island and Angel Island, seeking opportunity and a fresh start. While this era brought immense wealth and progress, it was also a time of great inequality, with industrialists amassing vast fortunes while many workers toiled in harsh conditions for low pay. The United States was flexing its industrial muscle, becoming a major economic power on the world stage. As the 20th century dawned, America's growing economic power soon translated into global influence. Initially, the US tried to remain neutral as World War I engulfed Europe. However, events like the sinking of the Lusitania and Germany's unrestricted submarine warfare eventually drew the nation into the conflict in 1917. American involvement helped tip the balance, leading to an Allied victory. After the war, America experienced the Roaring Twenties, a decade of economic prosperity and cultural dynamism, followed by the devastating Great Depression of the 1930s. The nation was once again tested, this time by economic collapse. Then, on December 7, 1941, the attack on Pearl Harbor plunged the United States into World War II. The country mobilized on an unprecedented scale. American factories became the arsenal of democracy, supplying the Allied forces, while millions of American soldiers fought in Europe and the Pacific. The war culminated in the use of atomic bombs on Japan, ushering in the nuclear age. The Allied victory in 1945 was a pivotal moment. With the old powers of Europe left in ruins, the United States emerged from the war not just as a victor, but as the world's preeminent economic and military superpower and the leader of the free world, setting the stage for the Cold War and the next chapter of its history. And that's where we'll pause our journey for today. From the ancient civilizations of the first peoples to its rise as a global superpower. The history of the United States is a powerful story of struggle, innovation, conflict, and the enduring quest for a more perfect union. It's a history that continues to unfold every single day. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey through time as fascinating as I did, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious.